my name is Emma, and today I am talking about Shadowhunters. What a fucking surprise. Episode 5 of the TV adaptation of The Mortal Instruments came out this past Tuesday, and I don't want to say that I'm totally satisfied, but I also don't want to say that I'm totally unsatisfied. I feel like every single episode I'm increasingly making less and less of a non-spoiler discussion, because I feel like if you're watching my videos at this point, you've probably seen the episode. I think this episode improved a lot. I think that there were little to no cheesy lines, which is like a massive improvement. I think the structure of the episode improved a lot, but I think they also have a lot of things that are like really, really wrong that need to get fixed immediately if I am ever going to like this show. So that's really like all I can say, because I really just want to get right into talking about all of the actual things that happened in this episode. So if you haven't seen episode 5 of Shadowhunters yet, I really recommend going to see it, and then we can discuss it. But for now, bye non-spoiler people. Okay, so as per usual, I feel like I kind of start every episode off with like a positive thing. I really liked the first scene of the episode when Clary and Jace are trying to tell Alec about how Clary's necklace like allowed her to see Valentine and allowed Valentine to see her. And then Alec has given them his whole sassy, like, I'm more responsible than you kind of talk. Like, he asks for Clary's necklace and is like, now it's in the right hands. And I'm like, that was such an Alec line. It was perfect. I know I have been pretty underwhelmed with Matthew Daddario in the first 4 episodes, but I really liked him in this episode. I don't like what the writers did to him in this episode, and I'll talk about that later. But as an actor, I feel like he's really improving. I feel like he gets some of the best lines in the show, and I'm much happier with him as Alec now. So I'm just holding on to the hope that it's gonna stay like that for the rest of the season. So then the next major scene is when Mayrus comes in. One little thing that I picked up on that I didn't like, that I'm not sure if other people weren't a fan of, was how quickly they explained a lot in like 30 seconds. Like, Mayrus mentions Idris, and Isabel is like explaining to Clary what Idris is, and all she says is like, you think the Institute is hidden, wait till you see that place. One sentence to explain a hidden country that Clary doesn't know exists, that is like the home country of the Shadowhunters. How do you even do that? Let me move on. And then Mayrus mentions Max. And then Isabel is like, little brother, cute but clingy. Okay, Isabel loves Max more than anything in the world. I don't think she would call him clingy. Like, I know it's like a little sibling thing, but I feel like she just summed him up too quickly. Like, Max is a great character. We all love him. We're all so excited to see him in the show, and I felt that that little explanation shouldn't have been there if it wasn't going to do anything to introduce him to us as a character. So then we walk into the training room where Jace is training, and he's poking around his little Seraph blade, and there's like these weird slow-mo fighting effects going on. I saw in some people's reviews that they saw these in the previous episodes, but I personally never saw them. Like, I'm thinking back to the pilot when they're in Pandemonium and they're fighting the demons, and that was like not the best edited fight scene, but there weren't any weird slow-mo effects, and now they're here, and I don't get it. They're unnecessary. That would have been way less stupid looking had they not added those effects. It was just unnecessary. Like, leave it alone. Why are you wasting money on something that doesn't look good? If you have the budgets to make really cool fight effects, then do it. But if you don't have the budget, why waste your money on it? Who is in charge of the finances at Freeform? Because they're doing a terrible job. As for Mayrus, I don't understand why she hugs everyone but Isabel. You know, we talk about how, like, we don't approve of Isabel's clothing because we feel like it's too sexualized for Isabel in the books. But Mayrus is really the one slut-shaming her. I mean, she throws like 3 digs at her clothes and her downworlder friends in like 2 minutes, and she clearly has a bias to the way Isabel is acting, and I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good. I also think, like in almost every other character in the show, they've kind of over-exaggerated one part of her and hidden the other parts. Like, yes, Mayrus is strict, and she can be a bitch sometimes, but her kids are the most important things in the world to her. Like, for example, there's a scene in City of Lost Souls, and this isn't a spoiler, but basically Mayrus finds something pertaining to one of her kids that she is like mandated by law to tell the Clave, and so she calls someone in and says, I'm giving you this information, do with it what you will, but I cannot possibly put my children in danger like that. That is the Mayrus that I know, and I wouldn't say love, but that I can appreciate as a character. And she just walks into the Institute and is just like this drill sergeant. She just treats them like any other member of the Conclave, and they're her children. And family is such a prominent theme in the Mortal Instruments, and every dynamic between parent and child is really unique, and we're not getting that in the show. I really don't like the way Dom delivered the line that said, "Clary, she's more like my responsibility." Like, I felt that could have been a really good scene where he's like trying to distance himself from Clary, but he says it in like a friendly way. Like, there's no like, ugh, Clary's my responsibility. It's like, Clary, she's more like my responsibility. Like, who are you? So we're already starting with my problems that I have with the writers for Alec in this episode. So we have this conversation where Jace and Alec are talking, and the whole situation with the memory demon and Alec having a memory of Jace's happy memory from someone he loved comes up. And so they're just like talking about it but not really talking about it. And then Alec says, "I was afraid you could have thought." And I just stopped and had to reevaluate everything about this TV show. Alec is in the closet. I don't know if like the writers understand that. Alec is terrified of Jace finding out about his feelings for him. So if a situation arose where it had anything to do with Alec possibly having feelings for Jace, Alec would leave that conversation immediately. He would not pursue it. He would just never try and get more out of him. He'd be like, "You know what, dude? Forget it. Like, let's go kick some shit. I don't care. I don't want to talk about it." Not, "Can we talk more about this? Because I need to know that you don't think I'm in love with you, even though I really am." Why? I really enjoyed the Clary and Alec fight scene, except for those stupid fucking special effects. That's clearly not a scene that's actually in the book City of Bones. I feel like it doesn't really coincide with the dynamic of Clary and Alec in book 1, because Alec fucking hates Clary in book 1. But they're clearly making every character relationship like more happy and fluffy right off the bat. So while I don't like that it is like inconsistent with the plot of the books, I thought it was a good addition to the show. Like when Clary has a line that's like, "Knock me on my ass, you'll feel better." Like, it's not a Clary Frey line, but it's a Clary Shadowhunters line that wasn't too terrible. And I feel like in this episode, Shadowhunters is like kind of growing some kind of essence around their show, where I'm like, this makes sense for the show even though it doesn't make sense for the books, and I think that's a good thing. I also don't like the phone call that Magnus called to Alec. I feel like everyone is so excited about the Alec and Magnus relationship being portrayed on screen, but I think they're doing a really bad job of it. Firstly, I'm really happy with Matt Daddario, except for in this scene, because he's on the phone with Magnus and he's like, "That sounds fun. Can you show any more emotion? Are you excited or not? I can't tell." But secondly, a big part of Alec and Magnus's relationship is that Alec is the one chasing Magnus and not the other way around. Magnus is like 800 years old. Who knows how many partners he has? He doesn't have time to deal with his 18-year-old Shadowhunter shit, okay? Magnus is like, "If you want me, that's fine. I'll be here, but I'm not going to be running around waiting for you." I believe this is in the Bane Chronicles and not in the actual books, but Alec is the one who goes to Magnus and asks him out on a date. In City of Glass, Magnus basically ignores Alec because he refuses to recognize the fact that there's a relationship there because he's still in the closet, and then Alec has to chase after him. And that plotline is just so groundbreaking for me, especially for Alec, because he's terrified of being out. He doesn't know how to deal with being a gay Shadowhunter, and yet he loves Magnus enough to still want him and still pursue him, and that's ruined in the show. I'm trying really hard to accept changes in the show, but there are certain core parts of characters that I will not stand for them changing if they want this to be a book to TV adaptation. Then we get to Clary confronting Alec about his sexuality. Before I go into this discussion about the TV show scene, I'm going to read you how this went in the book, because clearly the writers didn't read it whatsoever. So Clary starts off by saying, "You can rant all you want about honor and honesty and how mundanes don't have any of either, but if you were honest, you'd admit that this tantrum is just because you're in love with him. It doesn't have anything to do with..." Alec moved blindingly fast. A sharp crack resounded through her head. He had shoved her against the wall so hard that the back of her skull had struck the wood paneling. His face was inches from hers, eyes huge and black. "Don't you ever," he whispered, mouth a blanched line, "ever say anything like that to him or I'll kill you. I swear on the angel, I'll kill you." Want to know how it went in the TV show? Whatever. What? Shadowhunters has been building up to the point where Alec reveals that he's gay, and they don't do it justice whatsoever. That scene in the books was such a core scene of Alec. It just proves how intense his sexuality is to him and how much of an impact it has on this story, and it is completely thrown out the window in the TV show, and I am so not okay with this. I can deal with a lot of changes that they're making in the TV show. But one thing I will not deal with is them building up Alec's sexuality and then fucking it up completely. Alec, just admit it, you'll feel better. You're in love with Jace. No, you're in love with Jace. Stop. Alec threatens to kill her. Why is it okay in the TV show? I'm so distressed. So Simon has all of like these vampiric powers without actually being a vampire yet. And I feel like the foreshadowing of this is horrible. Like, it's so obvious what's happening here. And I said this in my last discussion, but like, I want to be surprised. I want the readers who haven't read the books to be surprised. And like, I was talking to someone who hasn't read the books yet and they knew what's happening. And I'm like, this is really disappointing. One thing I actually did really enjoy about that whole scene about them going to Clary's apartment was when Simon does open the door and he lets Clary in. He's like, after you. And then he like gets in front of Alec as like he's walking in and he's like, no. After me. Alberto Rosende, you are killing it. He's so good. He's so Simon. I love it. And then we get to the scene where Jace and Isabel get to Clary's apartment and like they're trying to chat Clary and it's not working. And Jace says the meanest thing that has ever come out of any representation of Jace Wayland's mouth. And while I say that, I'm thinking of the scene in City of Glass where he's yelling at Clary, so that means something. He just yells at him, maybe your mother's right and your best isn't good enough? What? That's horrible. I am appalled. Parabatai, brothers, friends, they fight. They argue, they disagree, but they are never mean to each other like that. That was like a really, really low dig right there, and even Jace wouldn't do that, and I'm really disappointed in how they're portraying Jace. I'm really, really disappointed. I loved the line where Simon's like, why do I keep getting kidnapped? If I could sum up Simon Lewis in one sentence for every single book in the Mortal Instruments series, it is, why do I keep getting kidnapped? It was just absolutely perfect. Like every other Simon line in this TV show. I'm kind of upset about the fact that the werewolves are like the size of golden retrievers. Like in the books, I'm expecting like some Twilight movie level werewolves, and I'm literally seeing dogs. Like domestic dogs, not even wild dogs where like it could have been a little cool. Like they're legitimately puppies. There's just nothing frightening about them to me. Like werewolves are freaking scary in the first book. They're scary throughout the rest of the books, okay? They're just not intimidating in the show. And like, I get it, they don't have a big budget for CGI, but maybe stop using money for your CGI budget on stupid shit like slow-mo effects that look terrible and give me some good fucking werewolves. That's all I ask for. I don't know if I'm just misinterpreting this, but I feel like they included the whole Clary is able to either create new runes or draw stronger runes plot point. When she's kidnapped by the werewolves, she draws a rune on the door. I think it's the opening rune, and it bursts into flames, which doesn't normally happen with runes, so I'm assuming this is where they're going. I'm a little disappointed that just the rune burst into flames. Like, it would have been more intense had the whole door like busted open or even just went up in flames itself, but I feel like that's where this is going, and I'm really happy they're including that in the show. Another Simon scene that I loved is when he's hanging upside down. He's like, really? Again? This is really happening again. And then he breaks free because, you know, he's a vampire without actually being a vampire at this point. But then he calls Jace and Jace answers, and like Jace is trying to figure out where Simon is, and he's like, I'm at the Jade Wolf. They have really inexpensive food here. Oh my god, that was the best line from all of Shadowhunters so far, I swear. I can't get over it. Like, if they had good lines like that in every single episode, I'd honestly complain way less. That's really it for my discussion on episode 5 of Shadowhunters. As always, I just really want to know what you guys thought about this episode. I've heard really good things. I've heard really bad things. I don't really know where I stand on this episode. If I were to rate the first 5 episodes of Shadowhunters on a scale, it'd probably be going from best to worst. Episode 4, episode 1 or 5, I'm kind of like at the same level with both of those. And then episode 2 and then episode 3, because I don't even want to put episode 3 on that list. It was so bad. But yes, leave me all of your thoughts on Shadowhunters below. I love discussing it with you guys. That's the main reason I post these videos, is just because I love being able to talk to you guys with all of your different opinions about the things we agree with, the things we disagree with, discussing different theories, and just everything that makes book to TV adaptations exciting, even when the show sucks. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!